Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got actress Natalie Moon with me. So, welcome, Natalie.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited about talking with you. I told you off camera. Sci-fi comic books. That's kind of my
Yeah.
thing. Not
It's
that
your jam.
I hide it well.
Yeah, I would never know with the background.
Back in the 90s when I was in college, I had a couple of comic book stores. So that's how I put myself through school. And
Okay.
when you probably don't know this, but Marvel Comics went bankrupt in 96. And that's the reason there's so many different companies that own part of their properties because they sold a bunch of it off. But I thought it's over. So I got out of the comic book business, but I always missed it, which is why me and my son started the podcast. We're like, we got to do something nerdy.
Something nerdy. Love it.
So let's start this way, Natalie, because I got a lot I want to talk to you about, but let's start with how you got into acting. It's such a hard profession. What made you want to be an actress?
I wanted to be some kind of performer since I was very tiny. I wasn't sure exactly what it was because at 5 years old, I don't think you really know anything. But I knew I wanted to perform. I was always like making plays up in my living room and making my parents sit and watch them. And doing like radio shows where I would play all the characters and record them on cassette tape. And I had a brother who was very much into computers and not at all artistic. And I would try and rope him in, but he wasn't a fan. So usually it was just me ending up doing all the voices and all their accents and stuff. So I knew I wanted to do something. I really enjoyed singing as well, and I started becoming a classically trained singer when I was 8 years
Oh,
old.
nice.
And then I did quite a bit of opera stuff when I was younger as well. So it was definitely something to do with performance.
I
So my
mean,
mom,
opera is not exactly your normal teenage fare.
it's not, no, it's not, and I really enjoyed it. And there was an opera, like a youth opera group
Yeah.
close to where I lived in England. So I would go and do that. And my mom was like keen on me being an opera singer, but the more I sort of looked at the other options, it was definitely acting that was the thing
She
that
just
I would
wanted to go to the opera.
probably. The tickets are usually really expensive at Glyndebourne, so yeah, she probably did just want to go to the opera. But actually, I actually worked at the opera house later on my gap year, so she
Cool.
did get to go to a few operas at
Okay, so
that.
you took care of her.
I took care of her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was definitely something I wanted to do, and my parents, bless them, were both incredibly supportive, which I know doesn't happen very often. So I've
No, because usually if you tell them you want to go into some type of entertainment, they want to know what your backup plan is.
yeah, they do. They do. They're always like, "Well, okay, sure, but like, what are you actually gonna
Right.
do?"
After you're done playing around, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, but no, they were really, and maybe it helped that I already had a brother who was like the Mozart of computers and was like taking them apart at 8 years old and putting them back together. So his
Nice.
future was set, and we all know that computer people make money. So I think they were probably like, okay, he can be the one that we can, trust, and she can do whatever
I
she
know
wants.
it's kind of one of those that when you have a kid that's really good with anything, but especially with technology, you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about that one. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
let me concentrate on the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think because like my brother's passion was also computers. It wasn't just something he was doing like
Yeah.
because it was to make money. So I think we both were they were really nice and supported both of our passions. So that was really lucky.
I feel for your brother. I had I grew up with a group of cousins, pretty large group, and we get together a lot. And they would always want to do plays for the family, and I was so shy. I was an introvert. I was shy. Yeah, I mean, like literally, it would just I'd be miserable. So I never had a
Oh,
speaking part. I was always the shepherd or a tree or I'm just hanging
a
out in the
rock.
background. So I can feel for your brother a little bit.
I'm sure you were a fantastic tree.
I was a pretty good tree.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to be there, but I wasn't going to just phone it in.
Right, of course. Yeah. So yeah, when I was 8 years old, I was cast in a musical at school as the lead. And then the year after that was a nativity, and I was Joseph.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
that's a
So
bold choice.
Yeah, it, yeah. And I think that I just loved it ever since. I loved and theater, especially for me at that time. Like I loved the spontaneity, the feeling of the audience and everything. So kind of went from there. And then I didn't really, all my schooling since then was focused on that. So
That is pretty great. That's pretty great.
yeah.
You kind of, I mean, it's not like you decided one day I'm going into acting and just went. You kind of trained for it your whole life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was ever since I think I started going to sort of a stage school around the age of probably around 8, 7 or 8. And
That's
then
pretty
I've been,
early.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
was the musical you were in, the first one?
It was called Jack Frost, and I think that my drama teacher had actually written it, I think. But I was like this girl that ends up in this like magical winter land because I'm not happy
Sounds
at home,
sounds
and
like
it's Christmassy and
yeah,
beautiful.
Christmassy school fair. I can get that.
Yeah, yeah.
I've only done one play in my life because I'd be terrible as an actor. But in fifth grade, we did Babes in Toyland. And
Okay.
I, at that time, for some reason, I could do a pretty good pirate accent. So I got cast as the second mate, which was
Okay.
that was the better role than the first mate because you had more speaking parts. So if you could speak like a pirate, second mate was the role. So, but that's it.
Nice.
That's my one
Was
appearance.
it mostly R?
Yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant. It's
I
brilliant.
just have to go, R, and then say whatever the actual line was.
There was like a translator on the side. He's like, Arr! Oh, he says he's hungry. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my best friend played the villain, and
Uh-huh.
he was all in on the villain with that. So
Villains are fun. Villains are
yeah,
fun.
he enjoyed it. Like it's been, I don't know, 45 years ago that we were in this play together, and he's still talking about how great he was as the villain. I was like, we were like 8.
He's like, that was the pinnacle of my life. I loved it
We
so
peaked
much.
early and we're out.
It's time you did another play, Michael, I think.
No, 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 no. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see me on here either, but I get such good guests. They keep coming back.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, okay. So I've been watching Superman and Lois. You've got a nice little role there.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about who you're playing, what the role is. I know it from the comic books.
The Contessa.
Yeah. So it's been pretty nice, having that character show up. So talk a little bit about that because we just got her. It's only, well, I guess it's been a few weeks now.
Yeah. Yeah, she Erica Del Portenza or Erica Luthor because she's married to Lex now.
Yeah.
What a blessing to play. She's so like she's obviously in the bad camp, as it were.
Right.
But the scenes that I've so far I've got to play, like she's really emotionally struggling. And I think anybody would be married to Lex Luthor.
It probably give you some issues.
Just a few. And I think, honestly, I think that probably she's ignored so much for so long, but all of a sudden her daughter is getting older and
Right.
things. And I think now she's realized that she can't protect her daughter if she chooses certain paths if she's with Lex. So her priority becomes that. And finally she stands up for herself because of that. So it was really fun to play. And
I really think you do a good job playing the protective mom.
oh, thank you.
Because it's kind of that character where you've just kind of let stuff go. You've just kind of let things happen, but now you got this person that you got to look out for. So it gives the character courage to
I think
try to
so.
get away.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
I
the
think you do a
catalyst
really
for
good job.
everything that happens. Thank you. That's very sweet. But yeah, it's I'm assuming she's put herself second for so long and didn't like she's been in a loveless relationship for so long, but it hasn't been necessarily a problem until now she realizes that she has to protect Elizabeth at all costs. and she wants to leave to take Elizabeth away from everything, right? So,
Lex isn't going to be okay with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the comic books, doesn't he, like, he blows up her island that she goes to live on? So yeah, not a huge fan of that situation.
There's some bad exes out there, but I'm thinking, if your ex or your current husband, I guess, if he blows up an island, that's you've probably chosen poorly.
You probably. Hey, I didn't know he was a psychopath when I got with him. Okay, that's usually the case.
Well, we tend to hide that.
Yeah, yeah. In the comic books, yeah, he tries.
Well, it sounds like you've read some of the comics.
Yeah, I did a bit of a deep dive when I was when I got the audition first of all, and then when I was cast. And I think it's interesting that she's Italian in the comic books, like a mobster's wife kind of vibe.
Right. And, yeah, that's kind of how I would describe her.
Yeah, which is really interesting, and I mean she still in the comics oozes like class, but in a different way to the way they sort of set it up in Superman and Lois, and I think that's partly to do with the accent that I have.
Well, I will say English accent does seem kind of classy.
Well, thank you. It's just a facade so we can get up to naughty things that nobody knows. I think that they always want British quite often in the comic books because it kind of, like you said, it has the idea of class and sophistication and money quite often, and I think that for her that was perfect for her. And
they also make pretty good villains.
They do. They make pretty good villains. And I mean, like usually, especially the Southern British accent is very articulate, and we use our consonants a lot, which I think is good to get your point across when you're being like a.
I like that though.
Yeah. So I think, I think it was perfect for her. And I've been through a divorce in my life, and at the time I still loved the person, and I took myself away from it for my safety and for things like that. So I really identified. Yeah, it's never easy, and I really identified with what she was doing and the choices she was making. So it's always nice to play someone that at some point in your life, whether it's exact same situation, doesn't have to be, but you have an emotional connection to it.
Well, that's right. And it was playing her cathartic, or did it bring up bad memories?
No, it was cathartic. I mean, it's been a while since I was married. And I've gone through a lot of therapy and various things, as we all should. But no, it's definitely cathartic. And honestly, being able to use situations that weren't good in my life and put them into acting is empowering, if anything.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what it is for me anyway. And quite often, like, especially in some of the other roles I've played, like victim roles more, or traumatizing roles, I don't necessarily use all the old memories that I had as like my body recognized what it feels like to be in that traumatic situation. And my brain can stay in where the character is, but my body is like, oh, I've been there before. So it's kind of this nice way of doing it without, my mind going straight back into all those things, and then being distracted with that and not focusing on what's happening to the character. So
yeah, you've got some some walls up there. You can separate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's important, because I think if you are dredging all of your history back up in the moment, in the character, that's when it can be dangerous sometimes, I think.
That's right. So, well, we've seen that with some actors. They go too far.
And you can do it in your prep, of course, to remind yourself how it felt like a touchstone. Right. I find sometimes, for me, if I try and focus too much on the substitution of my life in the moment, then I'm not in the character's moment. So. Well,
that's right. Yeah. Because it's not you. That's good.
No. Yeah.
It makes sense. You've done a few things with the CW. You've kind of bounced around their superhero shows. Of course, they stopped a lot of them, a year ago.
I know.
And I was disappointed too.
I know, it's so sad, because it's been such a rite of passage in Vancouver, and it's been here for so long that it's really sad that they're all going away. And I'm a bit of a geek, and I love comic books, and I love all those things. So it's for me, I was addicted to sci-fi ever since I was tiny, watching Star Trek with my parents. So
I was going to ask you, am I crazy, or did you appear in that first Star Trek movie?
I did. Star Trek
I
Beyond. Yeah.
like a tech. You were like a tech person or something. Yeah, yeah.
I did.
I knew
Yeah.
I'd seen you in that. I was like, I'm pretty sure that was her.
It was funny because it was very early, obviously, in my career in Vancouver, and it had already been cast. And I'm a Trekkie, and I was like, oh, I didn't get an opportunity to try, or they didn't think something was suitable. So I actually went to do background on the movie
Oh,
because
nice. Yeah,
I really wanted to be there and see the
yeah.
bridge and everything.
I
And while I
totally would
was
have done that. Yeah,
right,
I'm a Trekkie too. I would have totally done background work and be like,
yeah.
yeah,
So
just
while
and for
they
that reason, just to see the bridge.
Yeah, and I got the call, and it was called Washington at the time. It had a secret name, code name, and my friend was like nodding his head when I was like, "Oh, Washington," and he was like, "Do it," and I was like, "Okay." So then I went to do background on it, and while we were there, they had a character that they needed to cast, so they auditioned everyone that was there doing background on the set
Oh
in front of
wow.
Lim, everything. And then I got it and they whisked me away to hair and makeup. And then I had a part that got into the movie and I was so stoked when they pinned the badge on me and everything. It was
Wow.
very
I mean,
exciting.
early in your career and you're a fan, that's that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Early in
Did
my
you
filmmaking
keep the
career, yeah.
uniform?
No, no. They even like we had to give in our contracts signed like to get paid before they would give they wouldn't give us that until we'd given everything
They
back.
didn't let you keep like a communicator, nothing?
Nothing. No, sadly. I'm assuming they know that, like, not me. I would have had it pride of place on my
Right.
bookcase, but I know a lot of people would put it straight on eBay. So I think
Yeah.
that's
No, I
probably,
wouldn't sell it, but I definitely let everybody know that this
yeah.
was my communicator that I used on the
Yeah. If I had it, I would put it in a little box on my, and then framed picture of me in my uniform next to
See,
it.
that's pretty good. I'd probably just be wearing mine with my everyday clothes.
Actually, that's a good point. Although I would be scared of losing it.
Well,
But
okay,
yeah,
fair. At least
but
around
yes,
the
that's
house.
fun. Put it
At least around the house, I'd have it on.
around the house. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
my pajamas would. I'd put that on.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think if it actually worked around the house, if I was living with roommates or something, I'd be like, "Can you bring me a cup of tea?" They had to have one too.
Hmm. Yeah, I would abuse that if
Yeah,
it had that ability. I'd drive my
yeah,
wife nuts.
yeah, probably.
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee, please. Or like give it to your son and like, have you finished mowing the lawn? I've got more chores for you.
She had me planting a tree today. That is,
Okay.
I've discovered that is not my strong suit.
Piggy,
It
small
probably should
farm.
have taken like an hour. It took me 3, but I got it in the ground.
Well, there we go. That's good. Is it a big tree?
No, it's a little tree, but she had me digging next to a stump. So there was
Mm,
roots everywhere. It took forever.
yeah. What kind of tree is it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's been sitting on our porch. So I knew at some
Ah,
point it was supposed to be planted. Well, today was apparently the day.
day.
So I don't know. It'll be very surprising. We'll see what comes.
See what grows from it. You're like, oh, that's
I'm
pretty.
sure she knows, but I didn't even think to ask. I was like, okay, tree.
Yeah. If I was going to get a tree, I think it would probably be a little lime tree, but I'm in a loft apartment. It wouldn't really
Oh
work. But
yeah,
if I would
it
get
takes
a
a
lime tree
while.
so I could have gin and tonic.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I'm more like it's rum or tequila for me, but limes work with both.
Tequila is good too. I like tequila a lot.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a restaurant in Vancouver called Los Cuervos, and they do a spicy passion fruit margarita, and it is so good.
Ooh, that does sound good.
Hmm.
Maybe we could go together in on a lime tree.
That's yeah, we probably could.
We'll purchase one, but we'll like somebody else will have to take care of it,
Look
and then
after
they
it.
just send us limes every once
So
in a while.
it's like we adopt. It's like an adoption. You get like
Right.
photos from the
That's it. Yeah,
elephants
we
in
get
South
photos of the
Africa. We're
tree
going
as
to
it
adopt a
grows,
lime tree.
and then we
I
get
love
the
this plan.
limes.
Yeah,
None of the hassle.
yeah, and we just collect limes. I think that's a great idea.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty
yeah.
good. I was going to get my wife an avocado tree for her birthday or Christmas years back, and then I found out it took like 7 years before you got an avocado out of it.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so I was like, well, maybe I'll do something else.
You're like,
You just
7 years
wait.
later, happy birthday.
7 years from now, you're going to be
You're going
thinking.
to really enjoy this plant 7 years from now.
I did kind of consider getting one and hiding it somewhere, but I would not be able to take care of it. So that
Yeah, that's true. I think at this point, just Trader Joe's for avocados. That
yeah.
makes more sense.
Avocados are very difficult to pick the right one because
Yeah. Have you
it's
seen that meme that's like, not right, not right, not right, right, too late. It's
yeah,
like,
that's because that's how it is. You
yeah,
get like an hour.
you do. You do. And I even have one of those like special sort of plastic things that look like it's got saran wrap on it that you like close it up inside for it to last longer. So I get like maybe 2 days out of if I
Oh,
have
that's
it.
pretty good.
Yeah, but they're terrible. They're
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. They taste good though.
They do. They do.
Pretty tasty.
Hmm.
Did I read that you're also a dialect coach?
You did. You did
But
read that.
tell me about that. What does that mean? So they hire you. You're not acting in the show, I'm assuming, but you're helping other actors with the accents, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And most of the time it tends to be sort of European or British accents. As you know, there's a lot of
But now
other.
that we've talked to you, you could probably help them with the West Virginia accent.
I probably could. I like your accent. It's awesome. I've always really enjoyed the Southern accent though. It's really fun. And also they say that like in the accent and voice world, the intellect is carried in the consonants and the emotions is carried in the vowels. And I just love how open and honest and like the sound comes from the South because you're all lingering on the vowels and it's much more it has more heart than like a British accent that's very like clipped and all the consonants are really hit.
Yeah, I hadn't
Um,
thought of it that way, but you're right.
mhm.
It's a little, like we take our time in the South.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if there's a like obviously like the Western like old bad guys too,
Yep.
they with that accent, they would take their time too. They would be the very chill, villain who'd be like, well, I guess we're gonna die now.
Yeah, right.
And I've always been enamored by the accent. I think it's really cool. But yes, I go on set, and if someone is trying to enter into an accent that they haven't done before, or if they just wanted someone there to keep them on track, I usually give them sort of a base primer, like the sounds of the accent, but different to how their accent is, and then on set I'll be standing by, listening, ready to go in and make tweaks
Also,
and
you're
things.
like involved.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like listening the whole time.
How did that job come about? Did you train for that, or was it just one day you're like, you're really good at that accent?
It's all a bit of both, actually. I started learning different accents when I was tiny. I would always mimic people's accent, and my mum would bollock me and tell me that I shouldn't be doing that because it's rude. And I was like, oh, I can't help it. And then I went to, theatre school up north in England, and we did some there to like polish it up. And then at Oxford, I did some more. And then when I got here, I was really fascinated with like linguistics and phonetics and stuff. So I did a lot of my own online courses. And then when I was first in Vancouver, like whenever someone of my friends would get an audition with an accent, they'd be like, "Hey, can you help me? Can you help me, guys?" And then they would tell their friends, and then I was just working for free at that point. So then I was like, I guess I could, make some money doing this, and
Yeah.
and then I delved even harder into sort of the online courses and things, and I just have a really good ear for it and breaking down stuff. I love theory of any kind when it comes to acting or accents and things. So I take my time to figure out the accent and break it down, and then yeah, it's kind of
You are
stemmed.
nerdy.
I am. It's true.
When I was growing up, nerdy was not necessarily a good thing. But now everybody's nerdy about something.
Or everybody wants to be
Or they
nerdy.
want that's more like it. Yeah.
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 I always say that to the kids is like, I'm kind of a nerd snob. Don't be bringing your little pretend nerdiness over here.
Yeah, I can see right through that.
That's right. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how that stemmed. And then I started working on set with it specifically. Started with an Irish accent, British accent, and then I've
Wow.
done like a World War II movie not that long ago. So it just kind of
What was the Apple show with the weird name?
Schmigadoon.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good show. But it
Yeah,
had all
yeah.
kinds of accents in that one.
It did. It had all kinds of accents. And yeah, Kristen Chenoweth with the Cockney accent. It was an interesting discussion because obviously that show is quite meta.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What is that?
Sorry. Oh, they're testing my fire alarm.
Oh, well, let them. I was like, do I need
Sorry,
to
they're
call
just telling me
somebody?
they're coming, but they're not doing it till 3, but they're just telling me that they're going to need to come in my house at 3 o'clock. I'm like, okay. It's so creepy. It's like we all have speakers in our apartments, and now this guy is like
Oh.
talking to me through the ceiling.
As long as he can't see you, then that's okay.
No, yeah, well, yeah, I really hope not. And it's got music now. I'm like, why are you playing music into my, can you hear it?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I did hear the guy.
You could, yeah.
That. But you know, the Zoom kind of it kind of gets rid of the background noise. But I guess if somebody's speaking, it's like, oh, somebody's speaking. So
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so that was.
I was worried about you for a second. I was like, I probably need to call somebody.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening?
911 in Vancouver. Is it 911?
Yeah, right. It is, yeah. So yeah, Kristen Chenoweth was a Cockney accent, but again, we kind of had this discussion that because that show is meta and like she'd already in the first season, she's a different accent. She's an actor playing an actor in a musical with a different accent.
Oh, that show's crazy.
Yeah, so it kind of was nice in the way that we didn't have to really, really root for perfection because in fact that's not what was needed. Because then people will be like, oh, she was like, we lost all of the actor or whatever. And it was good because she was so incredibly busy with a lot of the rehearsals, because like choreography and singing and everything all the time, that she didn't really have time for any accent rehearsal. So the only correction time I had was on set between takes. So
I mean, that's kind of a cool thing to put on a resume, though. Kristen with.
Yeah, I mean, she has got the Southern hospitality in spades. She's so lovely and such like a warm person to be around.
She's tiny too.
She is tiny. She is tiny, but she was so generous and so sweet and like chatting and everything. It was really nice project to work on.
You had a role in that Harry and Meghan movie. Right.
I did, yeah.
Which I'll admit I have not seen that, but what was the role in that one?
I was Meghan's assistant actually, and basically on her side the whole time. And then I think because I was helping her and in her sort of journey, and I wasn't really on the palace's side as much. I'm throughout the movie, and then towards the end, the one of the main queen's assistants comes in and basically tells her she has to fire me. So then I get let go and I leave.
So Meghan fired you?
Yeah, she fired me. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You were supporting her.
On her side, and I was a very good assistant, but alas, I didn't fall in line. Or I didn't want her to fall in line, I think is more what it was. So then they can be. But that was really fun.
What's the consensus in Europe or in the UK with that? Is that, do they look at that situation differently than we do here in the States?
It really depends, because there's a very big divide between the people that really love the royal family and the people that think it's time for them to go. So I think depending on which side you're on, with anything else, you're going to want to choose the side that fits with your opinion.
I mean, I'm not going to throw stones. We got our own problems here.
Yeah. And I think that the majority of people in regards to that were quite shocked that he was like, I'm gone. But also, we all, lots of my friends in England were like, did we hear correctly? Like they tried to get the Canadian government to pay for their security while they lived in Canada. And I was like, yep, sure did.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite right.
No, I mean you're choosing to live here, and I don't think you know are lacking in funds. So
No, no. I get it. You're estranged, but you're probably okay.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So I know there's lots of divided opinions on that. But yeah.
I wanted to bring up Holiday because I know you had a role in that. We've had a few of those actors on the show. So let's see, Terrell came on the podcast, and
Okay.
Anna came on the podcast. I think you were playing Nina, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a pretty good movie. I normally, like my daughter, day after Valentine or Halloween, she starts watching Christmas shows every year. She's like she's already decorated for Christmas. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. So I don't watch unless she tells me it's a good one. But she really liked that one. So
Nice. There's also it came out in April. It's a British one. The lead's a friend of mine from When Calls a Heart, Natasha Burnett, and it's that one's a good one. It's called
I'll tell her that. She
Legend
probably
of the
watched
Lost
it.
Locket.
Oh,
The Legend of the Lost Locket, and it's kind of fun. And I'm in that with my friend, and it's a good one.
yeah, that's cool that you got to do it with a friend.
It is fun. Like that's Hallmark is very much like that quite often because like it's such a everybody is involved in it here, and there's so many of them here that it's really nice. It's kind of just going to chill with your friends on set for a few days.
I know, that's kind of cool. So like after you film, do you hang out?
Oh yeah. In fact, Natasha and I we never managed to get there, but during the summer we were trying to get to a wrestling. We're both really into wrestling. Like we both watched WWF when we were younger.
Nice.
So I go to all the amateur wrestling here. So we were going to go to a big wrestling thing in the summer, but it never happened. But yeah, we want to go and watch some wrestling. And WrestleMania is coming here, but I checked the tickets and they're like
Vancouver?
$450. Yeah.
How much?
$450.
Well, I got a notice today that George Clooney is going to be on Broadway. First time he's ever done a Broadway show. So he's playing the journalist that got into it with the guy that was trying to out everybody as communists back in the 50s or 60s. So he's playing a journalist in this. But the tickets started at like $650. I was like, I'd love to see him, but
yeah.
Plus, we got to fly to New York. You got to get a hotel. So
yeah,
that's a whole vacation.
It adds up for sure. Yeah. I was considering asking my mom to buy me WrestleMania tickets for Christmas.
My son went through a period where he was really into wrestling. And so I got into it and we had the best time. We used to go around to the Monday Night Raws and we'd go to those and, any of them that came close to us, we'd go to and stuff. But he got older and he got kind of out of it. And I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on my grandsons to get old enough. I'll be like, just kind of turn it on and see.
Yeah. Be like, what? I don't
maybe
know.
We'll watch this for a minute. Let's see if we like this.
Yeah, I was a big fan when I was younger. And actually, you know how they always say, like, do not do this at home. That was probably because of me in college.
Who was your wrestler? Who'd you like?
I was a fan of Lita because
Lita was
a badass woman, and I was a skater in school in college. So
like roller skater?
No, like a skateboarder.
Oh, like you were a skate? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do any tricks. I really was only able to skate.
Did you have a beanie?
Oh yeah, I had a beanie and I had the jeans that hang by your hips with your thong sticking out the top, which was really in when I was 16.
Those are coming back.
I know.
I'm not sure it's a good thing.
I don't know either. The whole of the 90s is coming back. It's amazing.
We saw Billie Eilish. We went to Cincinnati this past weekend and saw her. And everybody was dressed in '90s, so they were like
and most
grunge
of them are dressed in all the '90s clothes that even then were awful.
yeah.
Like most of the '90s stuff, I'm like, I wouldn't have worn that then because it's so bad. And now everyone's like, this is the fashion.
They're all
And I'm
wearing
like,
them. They're so baggy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's either really baggy or you've got like underwear sticking out, and it's just the worst stuff. I'm like,
it's either really baggy or you've got nothing on. There's no middle ground.
There's no middle ground. Not that like I grew up in the '80s. The '80s were not better. You know, it was terrible fashion wise too, and the '70s were too. Although I like bell bottoms, so I'm not unhappy that those are coming back.
So do I. But I think like when it came round again, the stuff that we were offered from the '80s and the '70s was cool stuff and stuff that was cool then. Now the '90s stuff is like all the stuff that like none of us were wearing.
No, nobody wants to wear that.
No. It shouldn't have been around the first time, let alone the second.
We're sounding very old now.
I know. God. Oh, well.
Get off my lawn. And you did an episode of Bates Motel.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think it may have been my first film and television.
That was early then.
And they actually like cut almost all of it. There's like there's one scene, like there was a whole thing where we find the body and we talk about it and everything was gone, and there's like there's from a really far away, there's me like this big, and then I call my dog, and that's all that made it into it.
Well, were any of the main cast in the scene with you?
No, and it was a different cop that was talking to us afterwards as well. So no.
Oh, it wasn't Nestor?
No.
Yeah, we had Nestor on the show. One of the nicest people I think I've talked to. And I actually had him because I was a fan of his wife, and I had her on. She'd written a book, and I had her on. And I knew she was married to Nestor, but I try not to bring that stuff up. And then at the very end, she said, "You know who would like this nerdy stuff? Nestor." I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were married."
You were like, "Oh, weird."
So weird.
That's brilliant.
Well, how about the Goosebumps? I think you did something with that.
Yeah, Goosebumps. Again, British role. I quite like the characters that I quite often go for are like more intelligent, sophisticated, blah blah. And she was the drama teacher of the episode with the Night of the Living Dummy. Did you read that?
I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize that was you, but yeah, it was I can't remember her name, but it was the teacher.
Yeah, Mrs. Dietrich.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had my stepdaughter was big into Goosebumps, so I watched those.
I used to read them when I was a kid, and I like have this really random like memory that I would always get freaked out, and then I would always have to take my feet out of the comforter because I would get really hot, but I wanted the rest of me under it. But because I was too scared, so I would just
That's how the monsters get you though, if your feet are out.
I know, they would have grabbed me by my feet and dragged me. It wasn't a good choice at the time, but yeah. I was also reading it with like a torch because I was supposed to be asleep.
Yeah. I've done a little under the cover reading in my time.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, it's really fun because that was one of the few that I remembered and really freaked me out. So when it was that episode that was given the opportunity to be in, I was like, yeah, that's fun.
100%.
And he's terrifying. That dummy is terrifying.
I like that your career you get to do all the things that you would want to do.
I know. It's kind of weird.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It is cool. Yeah.
Have you got to sing in anything?
No, I haven't yet. No. And I think I don't know if it's widely known that I'm classically trained. I don't really
you need to get that out there.
Yeah, I haven't really advertised that very much.
Although we like here in the States, we assume if you've got a British accent that you're classically trained in something. That may not be right, but that's what we think.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't sung for a long time, but I do really enjoy it. I should really get back into
Don't you think, going back to Hallmark for a second, isn't it time for Hallmark to hit the sci-fi superhero type of market?
I I would love that, actually. In fact, one time there was an audition. I was reading for this character and I didn't end up doing it, but I can't remember the name of it. Rip Van Winkle, basically. So it was like a Once Upon a Time vibe, but he had come from the past into the present. And then like they were trying to figure out where he came from, and because they thought he was like crazy.
Well, that's kind of sci-fi.
So that's kind of sci-fi. But yeah, they haven't really branched into it in a big way, but who knows? That would be fun.
I think it'd be kind of fun. Because at the end it's going to wrap up in a nice little bow.
A little bit. Or what if they did a multiverse episode?
Oh, I'd like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they do the detective stuff.
They do. That's true. Yeah.
So why not sci-fi?
That would be fun.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody will hear it and be like, yeah, sci-fi on Hallmark. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I have a bunch of friends who write for Hallmark, so maybe I'll suggest it. Like, let's do a sci-fi.
You need to let them know.
Yeah.
I saw that you were on a show called Beyond.
Yes.
Remind me what that show was, because I knew, like, I saw it and I was like, I know I watched that, but explain that. What was that show about?
It's kind of in the similar vein of like trying to use the junction between life and the death to kind of heal the present people in the present. And it was this kid has these powers. And
it wasn't Kiefer Sutherland, was it?
No.
Who was the star in it?
The star was a young guy from here, actually. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I got to look that up, because I'm almost positive I watched some of that.
Yeah. Do you know Peter Kalamis? Do you know who Peter Kalamis is?
No. Yeah, it doesn't strike a bell.
He plays in Dragon Prince. He's the evil voice in Dragon Prince, and he does a lot of comic book conventions and things like that. He's the bad guy in it, and he's so great.
Oh, yeah.
And he wears this like, yellow leather jacket, and you know the pervert glasses, and
it really. I got to look that up. Maybe I'm just remembering the advertisements for it. That could be, but seems like one. I watched it, and I was thinking it might have been that, because Kiefer Sutherland did a show that was kind of similar to that. I thought, well, maybe that was it, but no. I'm gonna have to look it up now. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Yes, we're gonna figure it out.
I
don't even know. So.
What was your role on Legends?
I played Mary Jane Constantine. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And
we love some John Constantine. So
yeah, I like doing flashbacks of mothers and wives in the past, because she was in the past as well.
Yeah.
In the 1970s, which was cool because I got to wear
that show's fun because it jumps all over.
Yeah, it was one of the most fun ones I think that we've had. So yeah, he doesn't recognize me as he recognizes me, but I don't know who he is. And then he gets into a fight in my pub, and like my husband, I have to kick him out, and it's like this whole thing. But yeah, I think he was having a sort of a bit of a midlife crisis in the episode, and needed to figure out where he was from. And yeah,
well, it's kind of it's kind of like a Back to the Future type of episode.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and I was like very blonde. And I had blonde hair, but not like really blonde. And then I got to set, and he was like, "Oh, we need her to be blonder," because like in the comics, Mary Jane is really blonde, and she's also,
it's the blonde. It's almost like white.
It's blonde. And she's also Liverpudlian as well. And I remember when I was reading for it, when casting brought me in, I was like, "Did you want a Liverpudlian accent? Because it just says British." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, sure." Like, I just think they didn't really like know.
I never even thought what that was or anything.
No, yeah. And I think, and obviously that's the comic books again. And like quite a lot of people don't really know the comic books. So then I was like, "She's Liverpudlian." And they were like, "Yeah, great, let's do it." And honestly, like, I don't think I said a single word that I should have said in my audition. I think I made most of it up. And a lot of it was like just British sayings that I kind of threw in. And I was like, there's no way that's going my way. And I was like, I kissed goodbye to it, and then I moved on to the next. And they were like, yeah, they loved you. I'm like, okay,
They bought it.
Yeah. And I mean, the blonde hair kind of look a bit like Matt Ryan, and I think, the accent, it all kind of tied in, so it worked out.
Yeah, not terrible. Not terrible. Are we going to see Erica after this season? Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm hoping. It would be nice. It would be nice to see, but I don't know as of yet what's going on.
All right, I'm crossing my fingers. We don't want to get rid of Erica. We like Erica.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and also she's Contessa, she's never dies. She's like immortal. So
yeah. Well, that was kind of my point.
Yeah,
I was like,
she can come back whenever.
Seems like we should keep getting her at least guest starring some.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
All right, I'm crossing. I need to get to Vancouver. I need to get, because there's so much film there.
Yeah,
you probably have a good time wandering around.
Oh yeah. There is a lot of stuff filmed here.
Not in the winter though. Not coming in the winter.
No, it's not great right now, I have to say.
We've actually had a couple of pretty good days, but the nights have gotten really cold. So it's coming. It's just going to be cold pretty soon.
Is it really, really hot there in the summer? It is, right?
Oh yeah, it's humid too.
Right.
I think we spent all summer in the 90s with about 100% humidity. It was kind of miserable.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. Didn't enjoy that part of it.
No.
Even on cold days, like days that be in the 60s or 70s, you go outside and you're wet because it's just the humidity side.
Feels like the only thing to do then is to go to a lake or a swimming pool.
That's it. That's it. You can't fight it. You just gotta.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm already wet, so
yeah,
I guess I'll just stay in the
swimming
pool all day. Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll hang out in the pool. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I have to. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time. I love your acting. I'm so happy to get to talk with you, and especially in a comic book role. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know, it was fun. The CW has been really good to me, and I love comic books. So yeah, living the dream.
Did you have a favorite comic book growing up?
Spider-Man.
Yeah, me too.
Really?
Well, I mean, first it was like Richie Rich or something like that. But first superhero.
The Beano was huge in England. Do you know the Beano?
No, what's the Beano?
Yeah, it's the Beano is like an old school, like proper old school comic. It must have probably started in the 70s, I would imagine, if not
I'm gonna look that up.
And the Beano, it's this guy who wears a black and white striped top, and he has a little dog with him called Nasher, and it's like they get up at all sorts of
I'm surprised I don't know this one.
I'm surprised too. You'll have to email me and let me know what you think.
I'll find it. I'll find it. But yeah, Spider-Man.
Now I want a copy of the Beano. I'm gonna have to find it as well.
You gotta find the Beano.
Yeah.
I always liked England's got like their comics are more like magazines.
Yes. Yeah.
And the paper was better there before ours was. We had a crappy kind of comic book paper. They had pretty good, magazine paper.
Yeah.
We eventually caught up, but I kind of like that bigger size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not as easy to store.
No, that's
but funner to read, I think. Or more.
Yeah, the Beano was really, really thin paper, almost like tracing paper. The old school, like really thin comics.
I'm gonna find it.
They're really thick. You gotta find it. Yeah.
I'm gonna find a copy and then I'll email you. Be like, hey.
Yeah. And then post it on your Instagram and tag me, and I'll be like,
okay,
yes.
Done. That's a done deal. So before I let you go, Natalie, and thank you so much. I hope you'll come back at some point.
I would love to. Yes.
If Erica comes back next season, you got to come back.
Definitely.
Come back. Is there anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Not that I can really talk about right now, except for the fact that I've written and I'm going to produce a one-woman theater play next year. So that's in the works. Are
you going to do it there in Vancouver?
Yes.
All right, keep me updated. Maybe that'll give me the motivation.
That'll be a great reason to come.
I was going to say that'll give me the motivation to.
Yeah.
I've got a actor friend in New York, and that's what we just came back from New York. We went out to see her in a play. It was a 2-woman play. So,
okay, nice.
But it was a great time. I was very impressed, and I always am with theater actors. The ability to to say everything to an audience that's literally like 5 feet away, but never actually acknowledge the audience or look at the audience, glance at that just amazes me. Because I'd be the whole time, I'd be like, I'd say my line, then I'd be looking at the audience to see how they reacted.
Yeah, I mean, there's some plays that you do that, but most of the time, no.
You guys like that one? How'd I do?
It's amazing.
Where can we find you on social media?
On Instagram, it's the Natalie Moon. Yep. So that one.
I like the
Natalie Moon. And then I don't have Twitter anymore because no. And so Facebook is facebook.com Natalie K Moon as well. So
the Twitter got so angry.
Yeah, I know. It was just depressing every time. So I was like, I don't want to do this.
Instagram's the nice one.
I don't think I need to. He's got enough.
Show me the good things you're doing, the food you're eating. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's Instagram. That's great.
Yeah, I kind of like it. And I'm an old Facebook guy too. Yeah, I still kind of like Facebook.
Yeah, all my random opinions in the evening end up on Facebook. So.
Same. All right, Natalie, hold on one second. Try again. Got my mug with me. Having a little afternoon pick me up there. Hope you enjoyed that one, Natalie Moon. She's very patient with me. Those of you that watch the podcast quite a bit, I have those times where I'm in a pretty good mood. I get a little hyper. So hopefully I didn't wear Natalie out too bad, because I really enjoyed that, and she's such a talented actress. I'm a big comic book guy. Superman and Lois, probably one of the better, I think, CW superhero shows, which is part of the reason that it survived. I think when they ended most of the rest of them, really good show. If you know Erica Luthor from the comic books, this is a really good take on that character. So good for Natalie. I think that's awesome that she's a fan and getting to play some roles in things that she would be a fan of. That terrific. If I was an actor, and I couldn't be, but if I was, those are the type of roles I would go for. I would really enjoy that. I think we hit on most of the things that I wanted to that she's done. She's got a really good resume. She did some work in Motherland Fort Salem, which I'm pretty sure if you're in Vancouver, you have to be on that show. I think everybody we've talked to from Vancouver has been on that show. It's kind of like Supernatural or CSI or Law and Order, one of those shows. If you're in that area, chances are at some point you're going to be on that show. So she was on an episode of that. She had a role in Space Force with Steve Carell. I thought that was a kind of a funny show there on Netflix. Had a couple of seasons. She's on Travelers, and she had a role in Zoo, which was a pretty good show. Am I remembering that one right? Was Zoo? I can't remember the stars. I'm wanting to say Matt Damon, but I think that was we bought a zoo, not the zoo sci-fi-ish type of show that was on for a little while. I think that's the one she was on. Absolutely terrific. Thank you guys so much. If you're finding us for the first time, so happy that you're here. And there's a couple of easy ways to support us if you're okay with that. They're free. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. That's it. If you subscribe, it really does help us out. Doesn't cost you anything. Really does help us out. I've said many times that I would put our guest list up against any other podcast or talk show. There's a reason people keep coming back to the program and that we're watched in 91 countries. It's not me. It's the guests. So please, we use those subscriptions to kind of entice guests to come on the show. Hey, we got this many viewers, this many subscribers. So please subscribe if you go there. Really help us out. Our website is meistercon.com. You can find almost 900 episodes, audio and video versions on there. If we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, covering a convention, anything we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there as well. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.